Can everyone online hear me? Hear me well?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay. If there's a problem with the Zoom connection or anything, Milena will be following also from her computer, so we will know if you guys have an issue. So welcome everyone to our workshop, Recruitment of Small-Scale Fisheries in Europe. What can we learn from science and experience? We have quite a busy program. We have 5 speakers, me included, so 4 speakers, I would say. And we have an interactive part where we will go to have a roundtable session in the plenary room. So I worked on recruitment. I will be very brief. Every presenter has 10 minutes to present their work. So we see that the number of people employed in small-scale fisheries in Europe is in decline. And we see that there's also very limited academic research. There's reports, there's people that talk about the issue of recruitment in their fisheries, but there is very little dedicated work to actually analyzing why there's a recruitment problem or what are the solutions to recruitment in fisheries. The aim of this workshop is to gather new insights, and these insights, they include barriers to recruitment in small-scale fisheries, solutions and opportunities to these recruitment problems, and we also would like to know what the policy framework looks like, the policy framework that is currently governing recruitment, and if there's room there to implement ways to attract new fishers to the fishery. So the program looks as follows. I'm now giving the introduction to the workshop, and then Marko Ahonen will talk about recruiting new fishers in Lapland, Finland. Pekka Salmi will talk about the reasons behind recruitment challenges in Finnish small-scale fisheries. And then Miren Garmendia will talk about what can be offered to the new recruiters. And to wrap this all up, we have asked Alexander Ford from Faminet to talk about their analysis of recruitment. So recruitment of small-scale fisheries in Europe, what can we learn from community-led local development? And then we will move to the plenary room where we have set up a way of discussing about these things. And what the ideas of the workshop is to gather the knowledge of everyone involved, everyone present here, to come up with new perspectives and discussions around recruitment. So we have 4 presentations, and this is followed by about 30 minutes. I think it will be 30 minutes of group discussions around predefined themes. So on site we have 2 groups. Those will be moderated by Milena and by Sophia, and online there will be a group on Zoom, and this is the one that I will moderate. So the themes that we have defined are barriers. We have an access scheme with, on the x-axis, we have present to future, and on the y-axis, we have from a detailed approach to a more bigger picture of recruitment. We start with barriers to recruitment, and we look into the ways to attract fisheries to the sectors. These are best practices. These are tools that fisheries have used, successful and non-successful, to try to attract more fishes to the sector. Then we will zoom in on the governance context. And at the end, we will imagine blue justice. We will imagine what it could mean in an ideal situation, how fishes can be recruited. That's a bit more an out-of-the-box exercise. So on-site participation, we have given you all a little leaflet. This is just to, if you want to share some information, if you want to be kept up to date about the results of the workshop. And the axis diagram that I just showed, we will work with sticky notes, color-coded. So if you're a researcher, you would use the yellow sticky notes. If you're a fisher, you would use the blue ones. That will be all very clear at the tables also. The online participation, we have an online tool, a mural, to have this discussion, and the link is. The link is here included, but I think Milena will share it now in the chat. And if there's a problem with any of that, then. But there's a couple of instructions included in this Google Doc, and you can just step by step follow those. We will not use color-coded sticky notes here, but it would be nice if you could include your name and your sector and also your country. That would help us later with the analysis of the data. This is just to show you what the mural will look like. It's very similar at the tables. And I think I will keep it at this. We have a couple of questions just to start off this this discussion, just to know who's in the room and who's participating. And on your leaflet, I don't know if for those of you who have a smartphone and like to scan the code, it will bring you to a questionnaire. And I think from the screen, it's also possible to scan. Can the participants online see my screen?
Yes.
They have it in the document. I think they should have. Did everyone receive the link to the Google Doc? We have 9 participants so far. Did everyone online participate? That I guess. So okay, this is just to see who is participating in the workshop. Most of us are researchers. There's fishing sector. There's also NGO and policy. Okay. So then the second question. Okay. Normally you should be able to see the second question now. No. Now yes. Okay. So the question here is mostly the country where you work in, not necessarily the country where you're from, but the country in which you know the fisheries best. Okay. Seem to have a lot of friends from Wales, Spain, Finland, and Malta. Okay, thank you. I think I'll keep it at this for now, and I will give the floor to the first speaker, which is Marco, I think. Yes, yes.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for inviting me to this session. My name is Markku Ahonen, and I'm the manager of Fisheries Local Action Group Lapland. And I shall tell you briefly about the project in which we try to get new commercial fishers to 2 artificial lakes. Here is a scene from Lake Lokka, and down on the right is the logo of the project. Next, please. These 2 artificial lakes are located in the municipality of Sodankylä, and they are quite large, Lake Lokka being more than 300 square kilometers. Next, please. On Lake Lokka, there is a village that is also called Lokka. It is a remote village 200 kilometers north of the Arctic Circle and 90 kilometers from the municipality center and the nearest main road. There are around 100 people living there, fishing and reindeer herding being the main livelihoods. And fishers are organized as a cooperative which takes care of marketing fish. Next, please. Years ago, Lokka Fishermen's Co-op realized that if nothing is done, their business will end in 10 years. So the fishermen contacted the municipality asking for help to get new fishers on the lake. Our flag has collaborated with the municipality and the Fishermen's Cooperative since 2009, so we were involved right from the beginning. We had the first meeting to plan the project in 2015, and we knew that it is very important to have also regional employment agency and municipal social security in the team. We also explored the experiences of earlier recruitment projects. And then in 2016, we had the project plan ready. Next, please. The project was named Fishers Path, and first we needed publicity. We wanted that all potential new fishers in the whole Finland know about our great opportunities. We used social media, radio and TV. There were articles in regional and national newspapers, and we even had a traditional advertisement in a fisher's special paper. There are 3 schools teaching fisheries in Finland, and we visited 2 of them, and the 3rd school visited us. And after we had gained quite a lot of publicity, candidates started to appear. The most promising ones were giving individual training in fishing, fish handling and processing, marketing, safety, and so on. We did not have traditional master-apprentice pairs, but senior fishers provided training in those things that they know best. One showed how to process fish, one gave training in fishing techniques, and so on. And I was the unlucky one who had to take care of helping with paperwork. Next, please. And what did we achieve? Around 60% contacted us, and half of them were interested enough to visit the fishermen's village Lokka. The candidates were so-called Lapland romantics who had not thought that working on the lake is quite different than visiting Lapland as a fishing tourist. Some had some other problems making them not able to really work as a commercial fisher. But now we have 14 new young fishers on the lake, 10 of them being full-time entrepreneurs. And of these 14, 2 are ladies, like Jenny, who you see in this photo. Jenny works on the lake in the open water season. In winter, she is herding reindeer in the forests. Half of the full-time fishermen are of local origin, and half came from southern Finland. And as our original objective was to get from 3 to 5 new fishers, we were very happily surprised by the actual number. Next, please. Well, why did we succeed? I think that one of the main reasons is that the initiative to this project came from the fishermen in the Lokka Fishermen's Co-op. They knew that they really need young fishers to keep the business going, so they were fully committed to this project. And throughout the whole project, all stakeholders had a close cooperation, and we were solving problems together. Next, please. I'd like to underline the need for a holistic approach in this kind of a project. The new candidates need all kinds of help, not only training in fishing. In our case, housing was a problem but the villagers help the new fishers to find accommodation. Then Lokka is in many ways an exceptional and ideal place to start commercial fishing. Fish resources or fishing licenses are not the limiting factor. We have shortage of fishermen, not shortage of fish. The demand for our fish in the market is bigger than we can produce, and the cooperative takes care of marketing, so the new fishermen, they can concentrate simply on fishing. They don't have to worry about marketing. And then the whole community welcomes the new fishers because it is obvious that these new members of the community are important for the village's future. Next, please. When I was preparing this presentation, I spoke with the senior fishers in Lokka. Many of them said that they get new ideas and new energy when they are working with the new young fishers. This was a bit surprising, but in a very good way. The future of the co-op is now secure, which is very, very important. Now, if you are planning to start recruiting new fishers in a certain area, it is good to remember at least these two things. First, the conditions for starting as a commercial fisher there must be good enough. The thing is that, after all, it's all about people interacting with each other. For a new fisher, it is very difficult to work as a lonely wolf if he is not accepted by the members of the community. Therefore, if you want to start a recruitment project, the senior fishermen and the whole community must be committed and ready to accept new fishers. Next, please. I am very glad to tell you that although the project has ended, the Lokka Fishermen's Co-op still welcomes, trains and integrates newcomers in the way they learned to do during the project. For example, this summer we had 2 guys from Poland who spent 2 weeks in Lokka, and at least one of them is going to start as a commercial fisher there next year. We have also started a similar recruitment project in the southern part of the flag area, and this photo shows Jarmo, who organizes the training of new fishers there. Well, that's all. Thank you for your attention.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marco. I don't know if you can see us, but we really enjoyed our presentation. This was a very practical example, and we now move on. We keep it Finland, but we move on to the more, from the perspective of the science, and this will be a presentation by Pekka Saari.
Okay. Thank you very much for inviting me to speak here in the session, and I speak about the reasons behind recruitment challenges in Finnish small-scale fisheries. So we have another presentation from Finland. I work in a Natural Resources Institute in Finland, and I've been involved in commercial and small-scale fisheries for quite a long time. But however, I haven't had any projects which deal with the specifically the recruitment issues. But this presentation is based on previous research in general and 5 interviews with fisheries local action group managers. Next, please. You can put the text, the whole slide, I think. That's fine. Okay, and the background of the problem is that we have still some commercial fishing in the Baltic Sea coast and in the lakes, but the trend has been decreasing. Amount of fishers have been reducing, and this is partly because of the more profitable sources of income in the society. And changing interests and values and so on. And also the commercial fishers have not been well organized and influential in the society as some other groups in primary production. The main problem is that the aging of the fisher population is close to 60 years and low recruitment of young entrants endanger the continuation of small-scale fisheries in Finland, like in many other places. And those resilient local fishing cultures are endangered or have already come to an end. On the other hand, there is a high demand for the local environmentally friendly fish products, and the supply is already a problem, and it gets worse if new entrants are not recruited. And fishing population and fishing capacity are important also for national self-sufficiency and survival in case of crisis, and that's one aspect which should be considered also. Next, please. Okay, and there are multiple reasons behind the problems, and many older fishers consider that decision makers and the wider society neither acknowledges nor understands their livelihood, and there's much pressures and frustrations among the fishers. And this is why fishers often do not recommend continuation of their work to their offspring. And this is also connected with the frustration is connected with the fisheries governance and environmental governance and the media and many lobby groups. There tightened fishing restrictions are one part of these frustrations, and commercial fishers' knowledge and interests are often ignored. For example, the Baltic Sea wide drift net ban and gill net fishing restrictions, salmon fishing regulations are examples of this. And especially in coastal fishing, the situation has become unbearable for many fishers due to damages caused by seals and cormorants. And the fishers' opportunities to influence the situation and cope with the situation are quite narrow. And on the other hand, the image of future seems to be more positive in lake fisheries. There are no such problems with the seals and cormorants, and this makes it more easy for the fishers in the lakes. Next, please. Okay, and then there are some opportunities for vocational education in commercial fisheries, but this hasn't been so very popular path in general. And recruitment within the family circles from father to son has been a traditional path to become a fisher, especially along the coast. Not the only one, but that has been very common. And this helps in getting the needed resources, fishing equipment, harbor facilities, fishing areas, and of course also the local knowledge of the fishing areas. And but this would need a positive image of the future of the livelihood. Okay, next please. And at the policy level, there are challenges which affect this recruitment. And one example is transferable fishing consensus systems, which means that there are individual quotas in Baltic herring and Baltic salmon fisheries. And these individual quotas tend to restrict recruitment of new entrants, especially in trap net fishing for Baltic herring. But now there is being a discussion about the revision of the legislation, so that in the Baltic herring trap net fishing there would be a collective quota which could help the situation. And another example is that the national program for promoting fish usage in Finland sets ambitious targets for growth to aquaculture production, but not to fishing, small-scale fishing. But it's said that the fisher numbers should be kept at the same levels until 35. But growth in the value of landings are targeted. But this of course means that there should be much recruitment to keep the levels of fishermen numbers at the same level. So it's also an issue. But there's in the national program, there's some planning suggested that there should be a new support system to new entrants in commercial fishing, including loan guarantee system. But this is not the case yet. And regarding the policy issues, there is no discussion or awareness in Finland about the implementation of the FAO small-scale fisheries guidelines. So that's unfortunately not an issue. Okay, and the next one, please. Yeah, then we come to the what Markku was talking about, the EU-funded fisheries local action groups, flags, what is their role, and the master apprentice projects in Lapland, like Markku told us, and in many several other inland lake flags. It has been a successful way to enhance continuity of fishing livelihood. And there has been cooperation with fishers, of course, and educational organizations. And it has increased fisher numbers in those flag areas which these projects have been applied. And it has decreased average age of the fishers. And it's important that there's where the flags also increase the awareness of the opportunities for becoming a fisher and what is the occupation like. And they spread information to the public and decision makers. In also in coastal areas, videos, social media, etc. But in some inland flags, there are challenges in getting sufficient fishing licenses. The local water owners grant fishing licenses for the commercial fishers also. So, but that's only in some cases. Oh, and lastly, I would like to note the essence of profitable income combinations in the Finnish context, because the fisheries in small-scale fisheries in Finland is seasonal in nature, and there are many uncertainties. And it's good to have income combinations and pluriactivity to adapt to fluctuation fishing incomes. And this means that when we talk about recruitment, there's a need for broader cross-sectoral view to recruitment, taking also other income sources into account which are available in the region. the rural nature-based livelihoods. Next, please. Okay, thank you.
I think I think the contrast was reducing between the coastal fisheries and the inland fisheries. And now we have another contrast between with the north of Europe. Now we move to the south and we come here in India.
Okay, good afternoon. Thanks very much for inviting me to present our organization and our experience. Well, the title is "What can we offer to the new recruits?" Me is the most important thing, because if we don't have anything good to offer, so it will be very, very difficult. It's very difficult to recruit new people to the fishing activity. Well, our organization is a producer organization located in the Basque Country in Spain, Guipúzcoa, where you have there the number of vessels we have, 76, and 600, more than 600 fishermen in this case, because we don't have any woman fishing on board. I am the director of this organization for several years, more than 30 years. So I know fishers, and well, I work together with them because they are in the part of this organization. All the decisions we take are their decisions. And we have 6 ports, but 3 auctions. In 2020, we started with a project, it's Cofradía, SSF. Why? Because we had a reflection and we realized the big problem we have with new fishers. The vessels were sold or were or disappeared because we had not captains or who could run those vessels. And it was a very big problem because, and contradiction, because fish is okay there, economically talking, and it's a pity when a firm that is viable disappeared. And that's why we opened this Cofradía HSC. And how we recruit to new people. And we also make a reflection that how young people will come to this profession if all the news they heard, all is very hard, lot of problems, no incomes. So all the news are very bad, and wasn't no the reality. Of course, difficulties and problems, and not all the vessels are okay economically talking. But well, in the last, I don't know, I can say more than 5 years, things are not so bad. So, well, if we know to invite someone to our house, no, we try to clean our house, to put it in order, to open the doors, and so all the best we have. And why don't we do it to in our fisheries? Years ago, was in the family. That's what was done inside the families. But now, our fishers say to their young, now go to the university, you will have a better life, and don't come to fish. Why? If you have been so happy in your profession, why don't give this opportunity to your sons? Why not? For instance, my sons, they at the school, when they have to decide, well, which will be my profession in the future, nobody talks about fishing activity. So why that happens? So we have to open our doors to show all the good things we have, because we have a lot of good things in our sector. So if we want to attract jumps to the fishing activity. So, but we need also to improve our activity, and there are a lot of lacks, and we have to work. And when I have we, it's the fishers themselves have to work to improve those conditions. Of course, they will need the help of different stations, but they have to do this work. So we have clear conditions, transparency. We have to know what, where, when, how we fish, and of course we have to assure enough incomes. And the planification of the activity is very important to conciliate with private life. We had before an example, no, a woman who has had the possibility to conciliate. In some words, that is also very difficult for women. And so in the fishing activity, why not to have this possibility? These are kids who has been in Cofradía Chasicea, and what is our real storytelling for them, if we want them to be the future fishers. So as I said before, we need to be an attractive activity, and to have it, we need resources. Fish to catch, we need economy. So these resources has to become in incomes, selling them the higher or the available prices, and also the social conditions, because, well, the vessel then itself, the conditions you work, the conciliation is important. So all together, as if we work in all the directions, we will, for the jumps, will be an attractive activity. And for the resources, we need science, transparency, and for me, also very important, union between the fishers in a strong organization with fishers participation. For me, it's also a key. So because in the smallest, especially in the small scale fisheries, the smallest vessels, they are more individualist or more, and it's hard also for us, for our organization, to keep them together, to have common projects, and it's very important. And to do so, I think alone we can't do it. We will do it together. And also for students, we have to be and work together with students. We do, the fishers has to know how is the health of their fish they caught, and for that, the scientist has to help, but with the knowledge of the fisher. For economy, also is important to know which species we can catch and how much. Also the market, we have to sell. We have to see here that some experience, direct sellings and so on, perhaps don't work so well. Well, if you make, I think this experience can be successful if we develop them together with the strong organizations, and of course participated by the fishers themselves, so they can put in common their fish, and also you have a minimum volume to elaborate to, and then to sell to directly to the clients or to other places. So it's important to work, but always you don't earn more money or have the best economy fishing more, not selling better. And that's the key. Social conditions. For social conditions, and the incomes are very important. You need a minimum income to have a level of life appropriate. Also, planning. You have to, for that, it's important to know how much I can fish, when, and to conciliate my private life with the activity. And also that can be done with strong organizations and the union between the fishers. With the COVID, we, well, before that, in the medias and so, we feel that it's more important to be a football player, a singer, and so on. But the COVID, we realized that the most important, and there are other professions much more important for the world, and fishing was one of these essential professions, because with fishing we have a very important thing that we can feed our families. So, and that's something that a lot of fishers don't realize, or still. That's why they say to their sons, no, go to the university and do another thing. So it's very important to put in value our sector. The fishers themselves have to be proud of their profession, and they have to sell it. I mean, they have to give visualization, because around the fishing and the fishers, there is science, there is technology, commercialization and transformation of the product, that is gastronomy and constant development. And all of it is essential for our societies and our communities. So what we have done with Cofradia, we are doing in Cofradia HSHA, is we offer the opportunity to meet, to experience, learn, taste, everything related to the sea and the small scale fishing. And we saw the kids, how we repair our nets. We saw how you can fish, which kind of fish are in our coast, and also how we sell it, and which is the way to take value of this fish, this cod. Also, we show them to a vessel, and also the captain is there to explain there all the technologies are there. And also here you have some anchovies and how the Canaries, what they do with this fish that the fishes are caught, and how they put on value. Also, we are doing with our fish new products, soaps, puddings, hamburgers, and we are trying to innovate and to take value of the work our fishers do. So, for me, the most important thing that's my fisherman, it's okay. He's happy with his work, and he feels he's very important for his community. Okay, thanks very much.
Yeah, lovely, thank you very much. Again, interesting, similarities and difference in the north and the south. We'll discuss maybe a little bit more later on in the next days. We will move to the last presentation of Alexander Ford, who's giving a European perspective on ISS.
Hi everyone, my name's Alex Ford. I work with Stainless as a fisheries and communication expert, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit today about our experience of recruiting fishers in Europe. So next slide, please. So here, just a quick overview of kind of what I'm going to present, who we are, what we do, the challenges kind of facing fishers a little bit, and then projects by fishery local action groups for tackling these challenges, and what we've learned so far and going forward. Next slide. So who are FameNet? So for those of you who are familiar with FarNet and Fame, SameNet is the evolution of the two in the new European Maritime, Fisheries and Aquaculture Fund between 2014 and 2020. It was EMFS, and now there's a new cycle of funding. SameNet are an extension of DG Mare, the European Commission, and our task is to support with the monitoring and evaluation of the implementation of MFAF, to communicate the successes of MFAF. And what I spend most of my time doing, which is implementing community-led local development, and that is to say, providing capacity and support to what are known as fishery local action groups, flags. Marco mentioned them briefly earlier. If we go to the next slide, I could talk a little bit about what these are. First of all, what is CLLD? CLLD is a term used coined by the EU, community-led local action, and it's found in lots of different sectors, agriculture, and in fisheries, we call these flags, fishery local action groups. And they're basically a bottom-up way for local people to influence and implement policy that happens. So to give you an idea, in Europe, there are about 350 flags across Europe. And the way they are formed is people from across society come together in a place, like in a town, for example, and they decide that they want to form a kind of a committee, a group of people to help implement specific projects that they think will be beneficial to their local area. So these people could be in the fishing sector, these people could be fishermen, they could be local businesses, they could be local politicians, they could be a broad range of people who have an initiative and a determination to help realize benefits to their area. And the way this works, in a sense, actually, is once this committee is created, people, and there's a strategy, people come with ideas, they come with projects that they would like to see implemented. And the flag, they're the ones that select which projects get the go ahead. And our job as SameNet is to provide capacity and support where they might need it. And one of the things we do is we hold events, seminars, workshops on specific issues like recruiting youth, recruiting people into the fishing sector, which is exactly what we did back in May. And so if you can go to the next slide, please. This is exactly what we did back in May. We had a seminar, workshop on the key challenges facing recruitment in Europe today, especially for young people. And you can see on the screen in front of you a number of kind of challenges that were reported. We've already heard about the complexity of administration in becoming a fisher and how complicated that is. I think Marco also touched briefly on how in schools and career centers, people are misguided and guided away from the idea of following a career in fishing. Gentrification, nice cute towns around Europe where people who are more affluent want to buy houses. It's all well and good, but it pushes away the people like fishermen who need to be close to the port instead of having to drive half an hour in the morning, half an hour at night, or even longer, an hour, which is expensive. So can I have the next slide, please? So basically, there are a number of flag projects, initiatives have been presented to flags, as I was describing a minute ago. And you can see on the screen in front of you, in different areas, this is the UK example is obviously from before the UK left Europe. But the initiative across all three of these instances is to create professional maritime qualification. And I suppose the greatest strength to is that you're providing people with a qualification that can be used in more than just fishing. in the words of the professor who led the Italian flag project, being a fisher is much more than going
Alex,
to
sorry
sea
for
and bringing
interrupting
the
you.
fish
Sorry,
back to land.
Alex, sorry for interrupting you. Hi, Sophia. Sorry for interrupting you. Can you check on your audio? Maybe like talk closer to the microphone, or it's like sometimes a little bit difficult to hear you. Just.
Oh, sorry. Is that better?
But we hear you more or less. Just if you can try. I don't know if there's a possibility to talk. Thanks.
I apologize. I think this is better. So being a fisher is much more than going to sea and bringing the fish back to land. It's about being an entrepreneur and contributing to the health of our sea and our fish stock. The idea being there that, you know, students, they go and they learn more than just about fishing, but they learn about qualifications that can help them, you know, with the broader picture of what it is to set up a fishing business. If I could, in France, they have, in a number of areas across France, they have colleges. So after at 16, students graduate, and they specialize in marine colleges. And here they have a strong focus on recruiting women. That's been one of their number one objectives for the last few years, because women are often kind of sidelined and not included in the recruitment drive. In the UK, the project was particularly interesting because it tried to focus on recruiting people who came from hardship, people who maybe were unemployed, were homeless, ex-offenders, and things like this. And if you go to the next slide, here you can see some pictures of kind of what was achieved. The top picture there is from the French College Maritime. And the bottom right there is from the Italian. Could I have the next slide, please? One thing as well, so in the upcoming flag MFAF cycle, one of the aspects that a lot of flags in Brittany are going to be working on is breaking down the administration that often prevents people working in the marine sectors from changing jobs. So at the moment in France, if you're a fisherman, you're a fisherman, and it's difficult to change, even if the qualifications are very similar to work in aquaculture or to work as a fishmonger or to work in dry docks. You have to start all over again. You have to go back to square one, and you have to take specific qualifications to do that, which is, you know, which is potentially harmful, you know, to people's aspirations and careers and things like this. If some of this administration could be done away with, you know, it would provide people with more opportunities within the marine sector. The next slide, please. We also, this is an area we've kind of looked at so much. We've looked at more kind of recruiting young fishermen, but both these instances on the screen here are kind of aimed at older fishermen. There was in Cornwall and Sardinia, the fishermen of these two flags, they had similar objectives and aspirations. They wanted to find a source of money where they could sell their fish directly, where they could have their own company and sell to tourists or restaurants, things like this. And so in slightly different instances, in the UK, a credit union was created. In Italy, one of the flag committee members was a credit company, and so they were able to provide loans. Initially, you can see on the screen in the UK, the Seafarers Foundation UK put in £20,000, and after the initial success of 11 projects, the EMFF funding was able to put in a further 100,000 to unlock projects related to health and safety, catch quality. Next slide, please. One other thing that a lot of fishermen touch on when we kind of flag managers touch on when we talk to them about recruiting people is the need to get them while they're young. You need to get them, you know, you need to capture the imagination of children early on. And I'm not sure who presented before me, the Finnish man who presented before me, but he said he was talking about how the initiative has to come from fishermen themselves. And this is exactly what happened in Romania. Fishermen could see that they were getting older, you know, their time's come and gone, and there were no young fishers coming up behind them. And so they initiated a project. They created a whole program, an extracurricular program. They worked with schools. They worked with a local university that touched on agriculture and ecology and heritage. And it's become such a popular extracurricular activity that it's likely that it will continue into this new funding period. And again, there's similar instances in Germany. Basically, the message here being that, you know, it's important to instill in the imagination of children, the importance of fishing, of sustainable fishing. So my last slide is about lessons learned. A lot of fishermen, well, not a lot, but some fishermen are saying that, you know, they feel more comfortable going into the sector if they're able to source their income from diverse points. So, for example, I personally know a fisherwoman in Brittany. She works on both a wind farm, and she's also a petit pêche. She goes fishing on the beach. She collects clams and cockles and various other barnacles. There are other fishermen in France who have a similar kind of breakdown of their job. They're not just fishermen. They do multiple things. Breaking down traditional vocational barriers, like excluding women. This is often hugely damaging, for women who potentially want to be recruited, but they're segregated, they're discriminated against for some reason. Qualifications not being transferable. You know, people want to have a career drive, they want to change their career. It's important to make that possible, and that's often a question of administration. And lastly, last but not least, it's how and where we communicate to people. You know, a lot of people get to the age of 16 and they don't want necessarily to continue with high school or university. They want jobs that are similar to fishing, you know, that kind of manual labor jobs. And it's important that these, you know, job centers and schools communicate the fact that fishing, you know, is very much one of those jobs, and it's a very important job. So that's my last slide. Thank you for listening. I'm afraid I've got to go now, but it's been a pleasure, and I wish you all a very successful Congress. Goodbye.
Thank you very much for your interest in the topic and all the presenters, and for the very interesting and I think very applied input. And I think there are some messages, some topics came up again and again. The time got a little bit up by the technical quality because I said the time. And we would still, we have like 20 minutes left. So if you're up to it, we would go over to the plenaries group together as we had before. And we have just set up there the poster and so a little bit interactive. I don't know if you can grab a wine on the way there. This is the ideal situation. But yeah, if you're up for 10, 15 minutes more and go over and have a little look at all the experience of recruitment or some on it, I would be particularly happy if you join us right now and we walk over all together. And it's also was a long day, so also it's not
Hi, Marco and Pekka. I'm trying to log in from my computer. If you would still be up for a bit of discussion, then we can stick around and do the axis diagram, the three of us. For me, it's either. So if you're still up for discussing a little bit, trying to make sense of the axis diagram, then I'd be happy to do it. And if you say, okay, like it's been a long day, then I'm happy to conclude the session here.
Well, I don't know what Marco thinks, but maybe we have already gone through the major issues.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I thank you very much. I hope.
Yeah.
I hope you did. You see the room? Did you have an idea of how many people were here, or was it very difficult for you to?
Yeah. How many people were there? Are
Let's
there?
say about 25. Yeah, something like that. Or 25 people.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much for
Okay.
for presenting, and
Thank you.
we'll be in touch.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Pekka. Thank you,
Thank you very
Marco.
much. I would have liked to be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
we miss you.
But
Bye.
see you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.